What's cracking, folks? It is a miracle of spectacular luck that nobody died from the recent jihadi attacks in New York, Jersey, and Minnesota just a few days ago. We're not going to be that fortunate every time. Anybody who, anyone remember that horrible scandal involving Catholic priests molesting young boys and the ensuing attempts at cover-ups by the members of the Vatican, probably more than a decade ago? If during the following weeks and months, would anyone have taken seriously the idea that criticizing the perpetuators of sexual child abuse would be equatable with racial animosity toward Hispanic people, or Italians, or Polish people, or whoever the fuck? Surely that would have been laughed out of the public sphere discourse for the obvious obfuscation of the crimes that it would clearly be understood to be. Yet the regressive left has successfully managed to pull a similar, dare I say sinister, trick with Islam. Global liberals and pearl clutching middle class whites have been lulled by this conflation so successfully that the proverbial wells are completely poisoned whenever you even try to broach the subject that there are problems with Islam and its compatibility as an ideology with Western culture. Not even gynocentric feminism is higher on the victim hierarchy than Islam. Just Cologne. I mean, a real rape culture entering Germany, and they take the side of the rapists, those feminists. If Western culture uh, gets through this troubled times still intact, there are going to be careers made out of the attempts to explain why the radical progressive left has allied itself with the Islamist ultra right. I have no doubt about it. After all, they share virtually nothing in common. The lexicon of gender identities, the hyper obsession with microaggressions, just I can't think of a damn near any issue they share ground on. The only thing tying them together, it seems, is a shared loathing of Western culture and the legacy of Western civilization. And truthfully, from the regressive perspective, by implicit association with Western culture, white identity. Uh, this is a terrible, terrible delusion. It's in my opinion that this is the most dangerous of all of the progressive myths, that Islam is a religion of peace and that Islamism and jihadism is not the product of a desert warlord from Dark Ages Arabia whose ideas have been practiced and refined for over a millennia. But no, instead it's the result of European colonialism and most recently American expeditions into the Middle East, which combined have lasted maybe 2 centuries, if that. Um, from this deception, the very existence of the liberal order that the Western world has followed for the last 300 years, give or take, is put in jeopardy by making impotent any attempt at resolving or at the very least taming the growing jihadi threat through public dialogue and discussion. The regressive left is setting the stones of a grave future, literally. Because when you make peaceful solutions impossible, you make violent solutions inevitable. I'm not a fan of JFK, but that is an absolute truth. I don't want to see this escalate to violence even further. I don't see, at this point, I don't see any other end result if these constant obfuscations keep happening through the mainstream media, through academia, through our politicians, etc., etc. Islam as an ideology cannot cohabitate the same polity with ideologies rooted in Western thought. Islam's not just a religion, it's a political philosophy that has far more in common with fascism than it has with liberalism. I'd go as far to say that Islam is a political ideology first and a religion second. These sporadic jihadi attacks will continue to occur in any country with significant Muslim populations within them. I see no reason to believe this is ending anytime soon. The attempts at secularization uh, within the Muslim community are weak, to say the least, and that's just being generous. People like Majid Nawaz, that British guy, I have tremendous respect for him. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he probably has as many non-Muslim fans and supporters as he does Muslim fans and supporters. That tells you a lot. And when you look at how he's treated by other Muslims, it just doesn't. What he's attempting to sell to them, what he's attempting to convince them to do, to completely, severely change their religion, change their texts to make them remotely compatible. It's There's no motivation for the average Muslim to do so. There's none whatsoever. The first step to solving a problem is acknowledging that you have one. Because the next time a jihadi attacks hits somewhere in the United States, and there will be another time, like I said, we may not be lucky enough to avoid fatalities like we were this time.